Good afternoon and welcome along to Matchday Live here on Fox's Hub at a blustery and wet King Power Stadium for the second game of the Ruud van Nistelrooy era that started off with a bang on Tuesday.
Walking into a new era of Leicester City Football Club, the Ruud van Nistelrooy era, as first up in opposition, it's West Ham United. Elkanous plays ones in behind and the flag stays down. Jamie Vardy, left side of the penalty area. Will he go for goal? He does, and he finds the goal. Do the celebrations. Jamie Vardy straight to the travelling West Ham fans. McAteer taking on Sofal into the penalty area. He goes laid off. There's the shot in there. It's the Leicester City second. A fantastic control finish. First goal for Elkanous for the club. Left side of the penalty area. Daka! He has not stopped. Time score at King Power Stadium. Leicester City 3, West Ham 1.
Yes, there we go. What a victory it was in that man's first game in charge of the Foxes against West Ham. It's time for game number 2 and it's another King Power Stadium game as Brighton travel up from the south coast to face Ruud van Nistelrooy's Foxes. Welcome along to Matchday Live with me, Dan Bates. Ewan Roberts and David Nugent are on the sofa alongside me today. Nice to have some goals on the sofa instead of the usual defensive Jerry Taggart and Matt Elliott's that we've got. Although that's doing a disservice to Matt, who's got a lot of goals. He's not so well, so it was a late call-up as well for you today, Nuge. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, I was still came on there.
And a good afternoon to the both of you. How are you both doing?
Yeah, all right after that treacherous journey from Norfolk in this horrendous weather. Wind, rain. I was in Burton yesterday for Burton v Wrexham. Probably should have stayed overnight, really, shouldn't I? It would have been slightly easier.
You drove back?
I did, yeah.
Oh.
I did.
It would have made a lot more sense.
Yeah, I know. But as you know, Dan, my daughter's come to the game with me today, so that was my reason to go back to Norwich.
Yeah, very nice. And hopefully she can be a good luck charm and bring a victory, as you were here, of course, the other night, and they won. Nuge, you watched it on the television, of course, and it was a good win, wasn't it, in Ruud's first game in charge?
Yeah, I think it's always vital when a new manager comes in, you get off to a winning start. You know, it was vital they got the 3 points, they did that. Our performance probably wasn't the best, you know, still conceded a lot of chances, but the main thing is new manager, first game, 3 points, won the game, and you got a whole, you know, what, they have 3-4 days now to prepare for the next game, which is Brighton today. Yeah,
that is the voice of David Nugent. He is alongside Ewan Roberts. We'll be building up to kick-off here at King Power Stadium, which is, of course, at 2 o'clock. We've got plenty to get through throughout the show. We will, of course, take a look back at that victory on Tuesday night, in particular the performance of Bilal Elkanous. We'll hear from the man in charge himself, Ruud van Nistelrooy. We heard a lot and we talked a lot about him, didn't we, before that game. It was nice to see his team in action getting that victory, and we'll also take a closer look at today's visitors, Brighton, who have got some lethal strikers, particularly the likes of João Pedro. Let's get all of today's team news, though, before we go any further. We knew there'd be at least one change for Ruud van Nistelrooy. That is because Facundo Buonanotte, of course, is on loan from Brighton. So there was one guaranteed change that would have to have been made. That is, in fact, the only change that has been made from Tuesday. So Jordan Ayew comes in, Buonanotte drops out. Other than that, it's as it was. So it's Hermansen in goal, Christensen, Vestergaard, Cody and Justin across the back four, Ndidi and Samare, the two holding midfielders, with McAteer, Elkanous and Ayew supporting that man, Jamie Vardy, who extended his own record of scoring the first Premier League goal under a new manager. On the bench, it's Danny Ward, Fass, Akoli, Mavididi, Dekordova-Reid, Chowdhury, Daka, who of course came off the bench and scored his first of the season, Oliver Skipp and Luke Thomas. From a Brighton point of view, Fabian Hürzeler has decided to make 4 changes to the side that lost away at Fulham in midweek. They're without winning their last 2 games against Southampton and Fulham that maybe you'd have expected them to win. They've got Verbruggen in goal, Estepinian, Dunk, Van Hecke and Lamptey are across the back 4. Matoma, Baleba, Ayari and Jorginho Rutter in the midfield with Pedro and Ferguson there. We'll talk about that team a little bit later on, but the likes of Matoma, Pedro, Ferguson, Rutter all on the pitch. That is a very, very attacking away side that Brighton come to King Power Stadium with today. We'll come on to that in just a moment. But looking at the teams, we don't want to put the mockers on it, but you think there might be some goals today?
Yeah, but it looks like that way, don't it? You see the strikers on show today, especially with Brighton with Pedro and Ferguson as a two. Pedro will probably drop a little bit deeper, try and receive the ball in the holes, but yeah, the attacking threat on the pitch for both sides, looks like it's going to be a high-scoring game because defending hasn't been the best recently.
I look at Brighton's back line and they play in a similar way to the way West Ham played the other night. They play really high up, which means there's plenty of space to put the ball in behind them, which Leicester did on more than one occasion. The goal early doors came from that type of situation. Casey McAteer got in the first half, didn't take his chance. Jamie Vardy nearly doubled the score halfway through the first half because of the space that was behind West Ham's back four. Brighton play in a very, very similar way. They try and condense the pitch, try and make it as small as they can, but by doing that, there will be spaces to be hit.
I think they're a lot better than West Ham at doing it, though.
Probably are.
Yeah. I think we've seen that over the performances over the season. West Ham struggling, Brighton not as much so. So I think it'll be a totally different game, but I still think a game where we got a chance to be in it.
Yeah, 23 goals for Brighton in their 14 Premier League games. Before the games yesterday, they were fifth in the Premier League, obviously, and that's without a win in their last two as well, against, as I said, Southampton and Fulham. So they've made a brilliant start, haven't they? Because of the results yesterday, that they're now down to 8th, but they're up there for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of weeks ago, I think they were sitting second.
Yeah.
I think it was after the game against Southampton, which on the night, they were slightly fortunate to come away with a point at home. They've only lost 3 games in the Premier League this season. All 3 have been away. Chelsea, Liverpool and Fulham on Thursday night. Leicester played on Tuesday. Brighton went to Fulham on Thursday night. They've had a smaller amount of time to prepare for this game. I think that will give Leicester a slight advantage, and I'm absolutely delighted that Ruud van Nistelrooy has only made the one change, which he was forced to do, to be fair.
Yeah, no, he's right. They've had less rest. Ruud's literally had 5 days to prepare for this game. Brighton not as much so, but they've got players in their squad that can come in and make changes as well. They've made 4, as we said. They're all really good players, but that extra rest. Leicester players positive after a win, first game in charge. Hopefully, can go and do it again.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of their squad, the fact that Buonanotte is on loan here at Leicester shows you just how good Brighton's squad clearly is, because we know how good of a player Buonanotte is. He'll certainly be a miss today. Jordan Ayew is that change. Different types of players, aren't they? But they do different jobs, and we'll probably expect to see a different side of Jordan Ayew to what we'd normally get from Buonanotte.
I mean, first and foremost, he's scored some really important goals this season when he's sort of come off the bench. He's made an impact. Now he's got an opportunity to start from the kickoff. I mean, what an important goal that was. Great set piece, last kick of the game to win the game, and then the goal. I mean, this is a fantastic goal. Little give and go, and such a cool finish. Such a cool finish.
Context as well of that 94th minute equaliser.
It was two very, very late goals, which meant that Leicester have got 3 more points than maybe they would have had, obviously, if those opportunities hadn't gone in. But he's got a chance to he's not as dynamic as Buonanotte. I don't think he's technically as good. I don't think he runs at defenders as well as Buonanotte. But what he does give you, as we've seen, is goals.
He's strong as well, and he wins fouls in dangerous positions as well. He can hold the ball up, something probably Buonanotte can't really do. So it's 2 different type of players. So we're going to have to try and play to his strengths if he's going to be on that right hand side.
Do you think it will be the right? Because we saw Casey mainly he was off the left, wasn't he, Casey, the other night? It was a bit of a mix, but then Buonanotte, he likes to drift inside into maybe more of a number 10 position alongside El Khanous. Ayew, you think, will probably stay more out wide, drift in again? We don't know.
I think all 3 of them can interchange, can't they? They've all got.
And I think it's important they do that.
You can't just stuff on the side.
Stand against one defender. You're easily marked. You're easily picked up. I'd like to see those 3 attacking players who just play behind Jamie Vardy, sort of interchanging positions. Mixing it up a little bit.
coming off the back of that game, of course, under a new manager, he hardly had any time before the West Ham game, did he, to work with his new team. He's now seen 90 minutes, thankfully seen a victory, and he's had, as Ewan rightly mentioned there, he's had the Wednesday, the Thursday, the Friday, even potentially yesterday to work with the group, and he's got another 90 minutes again today. It's a real chance to see anything that he's stamped upon the team. Probably wasn't able to do before West Ham as much, whereas now he's had a bit more time.
No, I think the first game, he had no time to prepare for the game. It's all about determination and wanting to play for the team. Yeah. I think the first couple of games under the manager, show that you want to play for the club and fight for the club. And I think we've seen that in the West Ham game. We didn't see previously in the Brentford game. I was at that game. I don't think we played very well, but we've seen a bit more fight in the West Ham game. That's probably what got us over the line. Fighting for each other on the pitch. Today he's had more, probably more tactical time on the training pitch to get his ideas across, and hopefully we can see that today in the game against Brighton.
Because as we said, it's a fresh start for everybody. It's a clean slate for every single player in the squad. We saw that with likes of Yannick Vestergaard. I think it was his first start the other day against West Ham. I thought he was outstanding. I was gutted that the lads couldn't keep the clean sheet that they deserved, because as Dave said, West Ham did have chances. Mads made 2-3 really top class saves in that first half. But I just thought, having gone so far, so deep into that game, the lads at the back and Mads Hermansen deserved a clean sheet, and I was gutted for them when they conceded so late on.
Yeah, well, let's take a look back then at the best bits from Tuesday night. The curtain raiser, if you like, of the Ruud van Nistelrooy era got off to an absolutely flying start.
Vestergaard again, and then Christensen by the halfway line. Elkanous plays one's in behind, and the flag stays down. Jamie Vardy, left side of the penalty area. Will he go for goal? He does, and he finds the goal, but the flag is up. And there we go. Cue the celebrations. Jamie Vardy straight to the travelling West Ham fans to say, have some of that. And now here come Leicester City. Bonanotte plays it over the top out wide towards McAteer. McAteer taking on Sofal into the penalty area. He goes laid it off. There's the shot, and there is the Leicester City second. A fantastic control finish from Elkanous to double the Leicester advantage. Returning it to Christensen on the Leicester left. He'll go long early towards Daka. Daka's going to get there first. Takes it round Kilman, driving towards the West Ham goal. Left side of the penalty area. Daka! And that just sums up his performance since coming off the bench this evening. He has not stopped, and he's been rewarded now.
Can we get away? Can we get out of here? We're scoring 3, conceding none.
And it goes from Jared Bowen, flicked on by Somerville. Well, we won't, because West Ham have got one back. 3 minutes into stoppage time. Fulkrug is leading the limited celebrations from West Ham. There were a couple of touches in there. It was a fantastic ball in from the corner, and Fulkrug gets his goal.
It's a little flick on, isn't it, from Somerville at the near post?
Yeah, very, very nearly a clean sheet in the first game under Ruud van Nistelrooy. Jerry Taggart nearly
kiss of death when he
gave it. Yeah, he did give it the kiss of death, to be fair. But 3 goals, only 1 conceded. As starts go, they'll be absolutely delighted with that, Ewan, won't they?
A goal after 2 minutes, into his first game in charge. He'll have been absolutely delighted with what he saw. He'll have seen the substitutes coming off the bench and having an impact. And until I saw Patson Daka's goal again, I forgot what a good goal it was. He creates it himself by being on that front foot, showing the pace that we know he's always had, causing defenders problems, making them run towards their own goal. And a fantastic finish in the end. Elkanous, as we spoke about on Tuesday night, Dan, he was everywhere. Everything positive, everything good from a Leicester point of view sort of came through him. His pass, the way to pass for Jamie Vardy, his finish, and Casey McAteer did ever so well, because it's all about making the right decision when Casey got into that area, which he did. And it was such a cool, composed finish from El Canoes for his first goal in Leicestershire. It was a really, really good, positive performance. First time in 15 games that Leicester have scored more than 2 goals at the King Power. So that has to be a boost for the lads.
You've covered it all, haven't you? No, but obviously it's just like, as Joey said, the start that we got off to, and it's so important to get off to a fast start, and who else to do it than Jamie Vardy? He basically showed the keeper where he was going to go, opened his body right up, knew he was going to go in that far corner, but Fabianski couldn't do nothing about it. Again, El Canoes, probably his best game in a Leicester shirt. Everything came through him. Then obviously subs coming on, Daka getting his first goal, don't know how long, give him, massive confidence boost.
Yeah, I mean, you'll have been in dressing rooms, both of you, obviously, where there's been a change of manager, and you come in. Do you immediately not try harder? That's unfair, and I'm not suggesting that, but there is that desire there, and you want to prove yourself, prove a point.
I think you get like an extra spring in your step, especially if you've not been playing as well.
Yeah.
I know that sounds bad, but obviously some players who went in the squad under Steve Cooper will turn up for training thinking, oh, I'm never going to play. Then the new manager comes in, you get like a spring in your step again. Want to start training well, want to start performing, showing that the fans that you still want to play for the club. And we've seen the attitude in the game against West Ham that was spot on, and that's probably what got us through the game. The attitude of the players on the football.
We
pitch.
said on the night, the amount of times you had your defenders putting their bodies on the line, putting their bodies in front of shots that were going towards goal. Maybe you didn't see that as much with Steve Cooper in charge. And obviously there's a reason why Ruud van Nistelrooy's here, because a poor run of results, maybe a little bit of doom and gloom around the changing room, which needed lifted, because losing games sort of does that to a squad, to a team. And when a new man comes in, it just freshens everything up. New voice, new ideas, new training sessions, although Ruud wouldn't have had a lot of training sessions before Tuesday. The big question is now, Dan, can Leicester go on to win back-to-back games at the King Power, something that they haven't done for a while? If they can, I think they leap up to 14th in the Premier League, 3 points behind United and just 4 behind Spurs and Newcastle. You can't have a bigger carrot, I don't think, than that.
And as well, back-to-back home games for the new manager. That he said that himself in the interview that we did with him, that it's sort of perfect, really, and an opportunity for him, because it is easy to play at home. Obviously, it is. So that, like you said, has come at the right time.
Yeah, especially because he was there at Brentford, and he would have seen that game and thought, God, I've got a lot of work here to do, kind of, you know what I mean? But obviously, back-to-back home games, the fans behind them, the new manager bounce, we've seen it in the first game. Just to mention, I've seen Soumare running back, tracking someone down against West Ham. I've never seen that all season. So just like a new manager, that's what it can do for you. It makes you want to play for the team, makes you want to work hard for the team, and when you get that group of players that work hard for each other, it will show on the pitch and off the pitch as well.
We can look at the goals individually then. The first one, Jamie Vardy, classic Jamie Vardy, wasn't it? You said that he almost showed the keeper what he was going to do. What do you mean by that?
Well, he's run round the ball for one, to open his right foot up to put it into the bottom corner. Great time over the run. Obviously everyone thought it was offside, but as he opens his body out, you can just know where he's putting it in. It's just about the angles of getting it the right angle to do, and the ball at the side net, and so he couldn't have got any sweeter in the corner. Is
it impressive that he probably maybe thought himself he was offside as it was? Does that take the pressure off a little bit?
No, I don't think so. He's still got to put the ball at the back of the net. He's probably thinking he's offside, but in his head, I'm going to put it in the back of the net just to put a doubt in the linesman's in mind, and it worked.
I mean, what made me laugh? Obviously, there was a 3, 4, 5 minute period when they were looking at VAR and this and that, and the West Ham fans were giving him a little bit of stick. As soon as the referees done that, pointed that, he was straight over to the West Ham fans to give it to them back. But once he's got in that position, there was no doubt in my mind whatsoever. And as Nude said, the way he just opens his body, sort of gets his body around the ball to give him an easier chance on his stronger foot. He had a similar opportunity halfway through that first half, where in that same sort of area, but he didn't have the time this time to do that and get the shot on his right foot. He had to go with his left foot. And I think it sort of took a slight deflection and went into the side.
It was only about 2 or 3 minutes after that first when it was early,
But he bought himself so much time and space to do that, to enable him to get the shot off with his right foot, and he was only ever going to put it one place, in all honesty, and still Fabianski couldn't get anywhere near it.
It's the 6th goal that he scored, the first goal under a different manager, which is quite unbelievable. He's extended his own record in that.
Like he gets a little kick from it as well, doesn't he? give him a new manager every week.
Yeah, so
38 games,
yeah,
38 goals.
The first Premier League goal under Claudio Ranieri, Craig Shakespeare, Claude Puel, Brendan Rodgers, Steve Cooper, and now
that's a great record. That's a great record.
Got to be happy with that. But also as well, it settled, I think, everything down, didn't it? You obviously were being here. We watched it together in the press box, you and obviously there was a huge sigh of relief when the goal was given, but it just seemed to settle everything a little bit.
And do you know what? There was a different sort of atmosphere before that game. I mean, I came to the first game against Spurs. I thought we were outstanding in the second half, not as good in the first half. The Forest game, they were the better side. They should have scored more than the 3 that they did. It was a bad night for Leicester. But there was a buzz around the place because of it's Ruud van Nistelrooy. You know, we spoke about the aura about him as a player now, as a manager. He looks the part, and people couldn't wait to get into the King Power. They couldn't wait for that game to start on Tuesday night. And this stadium was a different place.
It was the fans' choice when they wanted Ruud as well, didn't they? So I think that's why the atmosphere was so good, because he did so well at Man United. Obviously played 2 games against ourselves, then he beat us twice.
Scoring 8 goals.
Scoring goals, yeah. But you know, obviously the fans wanted him at the club, and he got him. I think that's why the atmosphere was so special, because he feels like he's one of them kind of thing.
It helps winning, obviously. You're seeing these pictures, obviously, from the other night. He rightly gets the adulation of the supporters, of the crowd, and it was an 8:15 kickoff. Freezing, yet it was pretty much full, wasn't it, King Power Stadium, to welcome Ruud van Nistelrooy and to see that vital 3 points won as well.
But I was looking earlier, Dan, and it's only Leicester's 7th home win in their last 26 home games in the Premier League. So that has to change. You know, that's probably the main reason why the club was relegated a couple of seasons ago from the Premier League. 5 wins at home. You're going to be in trouble. So to sort of maintain Premier League status this year, home form has to change. It was only the 1 win before that against Bournemouth. I think it's only clean sheet that the club have kept in the Premier League. I mean, what back-to-back wins at home would do for Leicester today would be, I think, it'd be absolutely magnificent.
It would put them 12th in the home form table as well if they were to win on the home table, which again sums up, if you're about there, then things.
You've got a chance, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely right. The second goal, then we'll speak about Bilal El Khanous in just a moment, Ewan, because I know you do want to, because he was fantastic. Just concentrate on the goal for now, and it was all about a number of different players. This Casey McAteer in particular, breaking down that left hand side, did really well, didn't he?
Oh, I mean, and the scary thing is, he's probably still learning his trade, is Casey. I thought he did tremendous last season in the Championship. You know, started the season superbly, scored 4 or 5 goals in 6 or 7 games, then had that horrible hamstring injury at Blackburn, which kept him out for a lengthy period. Came back, and I think he sort of picked up niggly little injuries. I mean, I'm not sure if that was his first start the other night against West Ham or not, but he really impacted the game. Should have scored in the first half, and he'll be. I think that's what he's got to improve on when he gets in dangerous areas, which he does because of his natural pace. He's then got to be as clinical as Jamie Vardy, which is easier said than done. Believe you me, when you've got a lethal centre forward as Jamie Vardy is. But yeah, he gave it his all. He worked his socks off, and what we said, that's so important when you're playing in wide areas now, you've got to do the hard graft as well. You know, you can't just stand on that halfway line and wait for the ball to come to you and just show what you're capable of in an attacking sense. You've got to get back. You've got to help your right back and your left back, because that's the nature of that. It's probably, apart from maybe your 2 central midfielders, your wide men have to work harder than anybody else on the pitch.
He's a ball carrier as well. Sorry, he gets your team up the pitch as well. You know, he travels with the ball really well at fast paces, and that's so important in this league, especially from you need one winger who's a willing runner, who's going to run, and he needs that person.
Yeah, and he did so well when he was running, and he got in that position to pick out El Khanous the way that he did. He meant that El Khanous didn't have to take a touch, did he? He was able to just...
He didn't panic, did he? You know, and I think he had decent options, to be fair. I think there was a Leicester player on the back post. I think there was a couple just outside the penalty box. But he didn't get flustered. He didn't get rushed. And then the pace on the pass was absolutely ideal. He's got a bit of time, good options there, and he's
on the move as well.
Yeah,
like on move into the box, it's perfect.
And because the pace is that good,
he hasn't got a break stride.
He can come on straight away, El Khanous, and get that shot.
That's what you need your number 10 to do as well, don't you? You can't be in the box standing there. You need to arrive at the right time and the perfect time. And great pass by Casey into his path. One touch finish, bottom corner.
Top class finish.
Yeah, we'll talk Bilal El Khanous in just a moment. We might as well, though, take a look at the third goal. And it was one, I think, in particular that the crowd really enjoyed, because Patson Daka has had to work so hard. He's had this injury. He's an extremely likeable person. He deserved this goal, and he won it himself, effectively. He made it himself.
He's made it out of nothing, to be fair, because there's not a lot on when he gets his toe to that ball. But because of the natural pace that he's got himself in a 1v1 against, I think it was Kilman at the time. And he's looking, he's maybe, am I going to pass responsibility? But once the centre-halves let him get into that box, and he stood off him, he's 2 or 3 yards, and he's inviting him to shoot with his left foot. And it's a fantastic finish. Fabianski can't get anywhere near it. He
created a yard of space by just shifting his body to the right, and Kilman followed him, and he just basically took onto his left, give him like an extra 3 yards to shoot. So just that movement, the little shimmy of the body, moved Kilman out the way for an easy shot into the top corner.
And as you say, he has had a bit of a bad time in front of goal. I'm not sure if it was the Premier League season where he couldn't buy a goal, to be fair, but he kept on going, and that's what he gives you. You know, and that's why he deserved his goal the other night. He came off the bench, and there was one time he chased the left back down. Left back passed it to the centre half. He then sprinted to the centre half, who passed it back to Fabianski. He went and closed Fabianski down. He never gave them a minute's peace. And I think when you do things like that as a centre forward, when you work hard, when you put defenders under pressure, you get the rewards that you deserved, and he deserved that the other night.
And as two former strikers, if maybe you've had a little period where you've not scored, or you've been on the sidelines through injury, like he has been, he comes on there. It was the last minute, but he gets that goal. Hopefully, we'll see him come off the bench again today. We assume we will see him come off the bench again today. He comes on with confidence.
He'll be itching to get on the pitch now, won't he? Especially after that goal, coming on as a sub, scoring a goal, he'll be thinking, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to come on last 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it is, and go, I'm going to try and do it again. Just that little bit, because all you need is like one goal, just give you that little bit of confidence, and you can go and score every game that you're playing. It's a weird feeling, isn't it? When you haven't scored for a while.
We know he can score goals. You know, you look at his numbers at his previous club. You know, the lad is a goal scorer. He just needs that, I wouldn't say reassurance, just needs that confidence back into him. And hopefully that's what that fantastic goal against West Ham will give him.
Yeah, one player who will be oozing with confidence then from the other night. Certainly his best performance in a Leicester shirt to date, wasn't it? Bilal El Khanous, I think rightly got our man of the match, player of the match, didn't he, Ewan? He was fantastic, wasn't he? He was everywhere.
He was involved in everything. His pass for Jamie Vardy, Vardy's finish. You know, he had the vision. He's got composure. He makes good decisions. It doesn't overcomplicate things. He's always available. He's always looking to get himself on the ball. I mean, this is that other chance that we spoke about. Jamie Vardy. Once again, he's been picked out superbly by El Khanous. He was involved in every good aspect of Leicester going forward. He was absolutely magnificent. But that's
that
the
ball there. How's he seen that?
That's the standard he set. He's got to keep that standard now.
He's doing the hard yards as well. He's tracking back, blocking crosses, stuff like that. So he's got it all in him. He just need more consistency, because obviously he struggled at the start, and since he's come in, big price tag. But now hopefully that game can give him that confidence to go on and play like that every week.
One thing he said actually in his interview that we did with him when we signed him is he said, everywhere I've been, the fans have loved him of the club, and you can actually see why from the other night, because like you said there, that tracking back on that left hand side was was brilliant. He did that 2 or 3 times as effectively what a number 10, or he was playing sort of 10 off the left a little bit, wasn't he? And he works hard, and he clearly passed it. He was kissing the badge, wasn't he? He was getting involved with the supporters.
That'll win fans over straight away.
But you can see why he said that, actually. That he is popular, and he will be popular here if that's the sort of performance he puts in, week out.
Matty on Tuesday night sort of said he's got similarities to James Maddison, and you can see that when he's got the ball. You know, Maddison, fantastic ability. I think El Khanous is slightly quicker, maybe more direct than James Maddison. But when Matty Elliott said that on Tuesday night, I was like, yeah, I can see that. I mean, he's an exceptional talent, really, really is.
And that's what you need from, you said it yourself, from your number 10. You need him everywhere. You need him arriving on the edge of the box. Frank Lampard used to do it, didn't he?
Well, he's the link between the 2 holding midfielders and the striker and the 2 wingers. He's got to be everywhere to receive the ball on the half turn, getting in between the gaps, in between the midfield and defence, trying to create chances for our wingers, attackers. That's his job, and I've not seen it until this West Ham game. So we know we can do it. You just got to keep doing it now and just try and keep getting them positions to affect the game.
He could get a lot of the ball today because of the way Brighton have lined up. They look like they're going with a 4-4-2. You know, we've got those 3 bodies in midfield with Samare and Didi, and then El Khanous just in front of those 2. So he should get a lot of the ball because Leicester have got more numbers in that midfield area.
There we go. The kissing of the badge.
Yeah, he's just in the zone there, and he just wants to. He's giving it to all the fans. He's
Hey,
saying, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do?
We've all done it.
How clever was the finish, though? Obviously, we don't know whether he slipped or that was intentional, just to get more purchase on the ball, but to get it in the corner the way that he did was impressive.
I think
it went in the back of the net. That's all that matters.
I think he's passed it in the end.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure which West Ham defender sort of made that last ditch lunge to try and put him off, but he's timed his run in there. You can see he's sort of delayed it slightly until Casey McAteer's got his head up, and then as soon as Casey's got his head up, he's gone and made that darting run into the box. And I think it's a really, really good. Some players would have thought, I've got to go for power, I've got to put my laces through it, which you can do. But he's just kept his head, kept his coolness. It's a tremendous finish. Such a good finish, such a cool finish.
And a finish he'll
have been proud of it.
Would have been proud of. There you go. How much of that is going on the training ground, do you think, at the minute? Is there any shooting drills, any practice with Ruud van Nistelrooy? Is he?
You got to think that, haven't you? You got to think that.
You'd always finish a training session with a bit of finishing, and I tell you what, I bet you the new manager joins in.
With his polo neck on.
Generally, on that point though, even if you're Jamie Vardy, who's 38 years old, you're still going to learn from Ruud van Nistelrooy. Patson Daka's going to learn from him. El Khanous, McAteer at the other end of their careers might not be out and out number 9s like Van Nistelrooy was, but he can certainly give them advice on finishing and where to be in the box like that.
Show him a few clips of his own goals, don't he?
I remember when I was a young lad, I left Watford to go to Huddersfield to get regular games, and in my second season, we signed Frank Stapleton. That's gone over your head, isn't it?
I'm afraid so.
I've heard the name, but it's still going over my head.
I mean, Frank Stapleton played for Arsenal, played for Man U, Republic of Ireland international. And I was in awe of the man when he was coming towards the end of his career. But I tell you what, I stuck to him like glue. And it's a little bit different because he was a player, not a manager. But I just used to speak to him, I used to pick his brains. And he'd sort of point out areas in the box where he thought I should be. And if I went there on a regular basis, I'd get goals. And I'd steal goals from other players, which I didn't mind doing, believe you me. That season, I got 34 goals. And I think a lot of it was because the knowledge that Frank sort of passed on to me. I'm sure, even though Jamie Vardy's 38 now, he can still learn things, and no better person to learn from than Ruud van Nistelrooy.
Yeah, I mean, you know Jamie Vardy obviously a lot more than any of us do, Nugent. He's not too proud, is he, to keep learning, to continue learning?
I don't think he's ever going to change the way he plays, Jamie Vardy, but he can pick little things up that Ruud will say to him. Like, it might be like just where to stand in the box or not to stand in the box, always be on the move, stuff like that. Just little things that you might just say to him just to keep his brain ticking over. But 2 elite strikers working with each other. I'm sure they're going to learn off each other.
with two elite strikers on the sofa next to each other here.
Two elite ex-strikers.
Yeah, and let's go to an elite ex-defender. Jerry Taggart
I'm not too sure about that.
is in the press box for us on co-commentary duty. Jerry, you were on commentary duty, of course, on Tuesday for that win over West Ham in Ruud's first game in charge. A repeat of that would be quite brilliant today, wouldn't it?
Yeah, good afternoon, chaps. Thanks for that, Nuge. And
I love you, really.
Just before I answer that, Dan, Frank Stapleton, going back to Frank Stapleton, Ewan, he came to Man City when I was a kid for a bit. These two know nothing about football if they don't know who Frank Stapleton is.
We're wasted on these two.
And he used to give me a lift home from training in his big fancy S-Class Merc as well. What a legend he was. But anyway, yes, Dan, a repeat performance against Brighton today would be well, most welcome, wouldn't it? I'd have to say though, if Leicester concede 31 shots like they did on midweek Tuesday to West Ham, then you'd fear that Brighton may well take more advantage of that than West Ham did. But so maybe that's just a little message from Ruud to the players before today's kick-off.
Yeah, was there anything you saw, Jerry, in that performance then on Tuesday that is an easy fix in the week, that he can go in and say, don't do that or do that differently?
It's difficult because Brighton will play a similar style of football to West Ham, and they always seem to have that overload in the wide areas. As much as Leicester got back on side and gotten themselves in a good shape, the way Brighton will play will mean that sooner rather than later they will have overloads in certain areas of the pitch, and you just got to try and deal with it as best you can. So maybe that's something he's watched and he's seen from Brighton. Brighton obviously lost their last away game midweek to Fulham, so he'll have watched and studied that, in particular that game anyway, and hopefully he'll pick some bits out of that where he can exploit that, and then obviously hopefully, you know, sort of just push Brighton back a little bit further so that, you know, they do not have, as I said, as many shots on goal as West Ham did. But, you know, we'll have to wait and see.
Tags, I was looking earlier and Leicester haven't won back-to-back games since May 2022 when they beat Southampton and Norwich here at the King Power. How important and how vital would it be to get 2 wins in less than 4 or 5 days for Ruud van Nistelrooy as the new head coach?
Yeah, goes without saying, doesn't it, Ewan, that, you know, the home form is going to have to be improved upon this season if Leicester are going to have any joy. And it was a great start against West Ham the other night, and obviously they're going to have to go out and play a similar style, a similar tempo of football to get anything from this game as well. You know, Brighton are a good side, play good attractive football, and they've got some talented players in the squad. But, you know, saying all that, after that performance the other night, I don't think Leicester will go out today with anything to fear. It's all about the application and following the message and following the standards that they set on Tuesday night. But yeah, it's massively important that, you know, the home form improves, because there's some tough games coming up, and obviously December is a pretty busy month for everybody. But, you know, Leicester have a couple of home games just slotted in there, so it's important that their home form stays intact.
Yeah, just finally, Jerry, you can, speaking of that tough run coming up, you had Brighton in that, don't you, of course, with where they are on the table, how good we know they've been in the last couple of seasons, and in particular their team with that front four, if we can call it that. Yeah. That would cause any team issues, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. You know, big Evan Ferguson, proper handful. I really like this kid. He's a bit of a throwback, isn't he? You've obviously got Matoma as well in there, Rutter in there, you know, so they've got some firepower up top. So it's going to be really important for the back line. And, you know, Connor Cody's going to have a massive part to play out, like he did on Tuesday night. We organised, and not just the guys at the side of him and the keeper behind him, but the 2 guys in front of him, and Samari and Ndidi.
Thank you very much, Jerry. We'll hear from you in around about 20 minutes' time on co-commentary duty. Quick word on that front four, if you like. He's he's very much in the Frank Stapleton ilk, isn't he? Evan Ferguson, the way that he plays with that. No, he's a good player, and as is João Pedro, and we've seen the amount of goals that he's got. That assist as well in midweek against Fulham was unbelievable. So they're a handful.
Yeah,
Toma, we know how good he is.
It's something that probably you don't come up against as a defensive unit that often these days, because the modern way of doing things is just playing that lone striker and someone a little bit deeper just behind him. But it looks like there will be a proper centre-forward partnership. Ferguson, as you say, handful, powerful, big, strong, upper body strength. He can score goals. He burst onto the scene at the beginning of last season with the goals that he scored. I think he suffered 1 or 2 setbacks through injuries, and that's why he hasn't played as many games as what he probably should have. The 2 wide men, they'll have to be looked after.
It's always brilliant.
It's always an absolute quality player. Ruta had a really successful season with Leeds last season in the league. It's an attacking lineup, but could that play into the 2 fullbacks? Like Nude said earlier, he really likes Lamptey, and I agree with it. He gives you a lot going forward. But does that mean they will leave gaps? Lewis Dunk's had a fantastic career, been at Brighton throughout that career, played for England. Pace isn't one of his strengths. Anything in front of him, anything in the air, he'll compete and he'll win. Little balls down the line into the channels, he could struggle, especially against Jamie Vardy.
Especially if they play a high line as well. There's going to be that space. I don't think balls in the air is going to be the option today. It's going to be little slide ones down the side of the centre, in between centre backs, in between the full backs for Jamie and the 2 wings to run onto, especially if they play a high line. So I think it's going to be an entertaining game. They've got a really attacking side out today, which could work for us with the gaps in between. And when they push players forward, there's going to be gaps for us to get in between the defenders and midfielders.
Before yesterday, I haven't done my homework as well as what I should have. They're the 2nd worst defensive record in the top half. So, yeah, and we've said before, Leicester is a bit of an Achilles heel, concede a few too many goals than we'd like, but so do Brighton.
Absolutely. Right, let's hear from the Leicester City manager then. We'll give you a couple of minutes to swat up on those notes, Ewan, that you missed from yesterday. Ruud van Nistelrooy again speaking to the press ahead of this game with Brighton today.
It's clear how they are performing, Brighton, where they are in the league, how many points they already have, the way they're playing. They've been beating, had some excellent results against also the top clubs. So impressive the way they are playing, the way the new manager settled in and got off on a flying start. So fantastic performance, from the club, the squad, and also the manager and the coaching staff.
Looking ahead to Brighton this weekend, obviously they played last night and you did play on Tuesday. How much of an advantage is that?
Yeah, in the end, it's theoretically there's a physical advantage. Of course, with the current Premier League squads and also Brighton, top clubs in the Premier League, they have such wide squads, lots of numbers, so they have possibilities to rest and put similar quality players on the pitch. But okay, theoretically we have a slight advantage in the physical part.
And just finally, it's back-to-back home games as well to start your time at Leicester City. How massive would another 3 points be this season on Sunday for this season, but also to kind of kickstart that momentum for you as Leicester City manager?
Of course, getting results is the main thing. That's what I said. Also in style of play, we spoke about it. The ideal style of play I shared with you, but the approach of winning every game and that approach is the most important thing. So what does Sunday need for us to win the game and put that performance in? I think it starts with that performance again on Sunday. That's the focus. Those performances, invest in that fight and spirit, and from there on look to improve in certain bits already after one training week. That's my goal. I think that's, if you focus on that, it gives you the best chance of a good result, and and makes the players perform better. So that will be my approach. But of course, a good result would be very welcome and massive.
That was Ruud van Nistelrooy there, speaking ahead of this game with Fabian Hertzler's Brighton. Let's take a quick recap of today's team news. We knew there would be at least one change from the Foxes, of course. Facundo Buonanotte not able to play against his parent club, Brighton. That is indeed the only change made by the Dutchman. It's Hermansson in goal, Christensen, Vestergaard, Cody and Justin across the back four, with Ndidi and Samare in midfield. McAteer, El Khanoussou was fantastic in the week, and Jordan Ayew support Jamie Vardy. From a Brighton point of view, they're off the back of 2 games without a win, including a 3-1 loss against Fulham. They make 4 changes to that team. Verbruggen is in goal, Estepinian, Dunk, Van Hecker and Lamptey. Matoma, Belieber, Ayari and Ruter, with Pedro and Ferguson as the 2 strikers. We've spoken about Brighton's attack now. We've spoken about Leicester's attack. We've touched a little bit upon Leicester's defence. They were so unlucky not to keep a clean sheet, weren't they, of course, against West Ham in the week. Just some shots, by the way, of Buonanotte saying hello to both his Leicester teammates and the Brighton players as well. Of course, split allegiances for him today. Right, Leicester's defence. Vestergaard, Cody, coming up against the likes of Ferguson, Pedro, Matoma, Ruter. It's going to be a tough challenge for them.
Yeah, I think they'll probably relish the one against Ferguson. You know, big, strong, not as quick as Pedro. Hasn't got the movement that João Pedro has. I think that will suit them more than Brighton's number 9. And what a test for James Justin and Victor Christensen, especially James Justin, because Matoma, as we've spoken about, that what a talent he is. He creates, he scores. He can go down the line, he can cut inside. He's got everything, to be fair. And that's what you say about Brighton. Their recruitment over the last 3 or 4 seasons has been absolutely ridiculous. But I just fancy Leicester today after what happened the other night. Ruud van Nistelrooy's first game, the place was bouncing. There'll be a great atmosphere here again with the Leicester City fans. Go and play on that front foot. Go and work as hard as you did the other night against West Ham. I think if you do that, we're more than capable of winning this game.
It's momentum in it as well, like taking it into the next game.
It's a massive word, isn't it?
Yeah, just obviously they're on a high. Take it first 10 minutes in this game and go for it. Put them under pressure straight away. Get the fans on side straight away. You know, that's what we need. And talking about defence, I think Vestergaard, for me, he's probably our best footballing defender on the ball. He's so good on the ball for someone who's 6'5". Cody, Marshall is talking.
Yeah. So
important for his communication with defenders. And I think, you know, JJ will have his hands full today.
Yeah.
You know, Matoma is a really, really good player. Christian as well was going to be up against a bit of Rutter, but he'll come more inside. But just defend like they did against West Ham. Defend for your lives.
I think as a player and as a defender, I think you've got to relish that. You've got to sort of really look forward to that challenge. Thinking I'm up against probably one of the best wingers in the Premier League. Go and make him have a bad day.
Yeah.
Make sure you come out on top of that battle.
Yeah, and not just the defenders, I guess, from a final look at this game today, Ewan, they'll all be relishing the chance to win back-to-back home games under their new manager.
As you said, there's a chance to go up to 14th, I think.
15th,
15th,
I think, yeah.
And then
14th,
and then you open that gap between yourselves and the bottom 3. There's a massive game tomorrow night, West Ham and Wolves. You know, Ipswich lost yesterday. Just go and make that gap between yourselves and the bottom 3 bigger.
Yeah, the gap's 4 points. It could be 7 in 2 hours' time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what you want. You know, you want as big as gap as possible. You know, for where Leicester were at the start of the season with no manager, Steve Cooper coming in, getting sacked, new manager coming in, and not to be in the relegation zone, it's massive. You know, last year, you know, the 3 promoted teams got relegated. You know, they're saying this year that's possibly going to be the chance again. It's going to happen again, but it's down to Leicester to prove everyone wrong and, you know, win these home games, win back-to-back home games, get a 7-point gap. That's a 3-game swing. People got to win 3 games to overtake it. That's massive wins in the Premier League.
Yeah, let's hope that we see back-to-back home wins for the Foxes then under new manager Ruud van Nistelrooy. Thanks to David Nugent and to Ewan Roberts. We'll hear from those guys again at half-time and then again at full-time, where hopefully we'll see a repeat of what happened on Tuesday evening. Coming up next, we've got full match commentary with Jerry Taggart and Tyler Morris.